In the last video I left off, we were talking about how influence spreads, how to make it feel organic and lifelike, how new structures are going to spawn. Today I want to give a little bit more detail on what that influence actually means and how it's affecting the game. There's two ways influence affects the map. The first is the creation of small structures or habitats. And this is the result of influence. The more influence, say, the gremlins have on a specific region of the map, the more they'll build houses, the more other structures they'll build, the more of those units will be located in that tile. The second way influence relates to the map is forts, large structures. And these are the causes of influence. And in this case, the structures actually show up as an icon. They're so large, so impactful, the idea is you can see them in the world and you have knowledge of them. To help explain a little better, you can see here, I'm standing on this tile. There's no structure here, but notice it's marked yellow. That means it is part of the territory of the gremlins. And if I go to enter this tile, which you can click explore, press E, it'll say now faction influence on that tile, gremlins 64%. So that's very high. You can imagine they would have a lot of houses, a larger village would be added to that map when you went to explore it. Now if I went to this fort, that would be a much larger structure. And it's this fort which is pushing out and generating all the influence. And if you are tired of getting attacked by gremlins and they're like spreading over the map, you can actually combat that by going into this fort and destroying it. And here as well, you'll notice on the location pop-up, it actually points out that there's a known building here. And that's a large structure. That's different than these small structures. Here is the first attempt at placing a procedurally generated building onto an already generated forest. It's pure chaos. We've got trees everywhere, but I love it. I just love the weird shape of this. It actually makes me want to have semi-outdoor areas where there are some plants. Something about this really excites me. Managed to fix many of the issues, though at the cost of having a less interesting shape on the outside, which there could implement some kind of flood fill algorithm that would fill in the unused wall tiles, which would solve that, and we would get the interesting shape still where it goes in and out. One cool thing about this is if the map is not revealed, walking along the outside of this structure, this fort built by some faction, you can't tell what's inside. It gives no information. I think that's pretty cool, unless you had gone inside. But a perfectly square building, not quite as interesting. I might return to that, but now we have now we actually have a structure to explore. Next up will be providing some variation and design for these rooms. They also are a little too connected. The way rooms are connected in the Doors of Trithius, for those who are interested in the more nerdy side, is we do something called a minimum spanning tree, which the rooms are basically treated as nodes, and then we do the minimum tree so that every room is at least connected. Then a later pass uses a Gabriel graph. This is a Gabriel graph, which for a Gabriel graph, it's pretty cool. You can imagine a circle being, we compare 2 points, we draw a circle, and we see if they intersect. And so you get, that's a horrible explanation. You can look at the Wikipedia page. But the cool thing about this is you get the nodes connecting to nearby nodes. This room connects to this room. It doesn't try to connect to like this room. It doesn't try to like dig a hallway through the map. It goes, oh, you're a neighbor, like here. It detects that's a neighbor, and it wouldn't try to connect if it was intersecting with this room. However, for this fort, or whatever this is going to be, oh, that's not right. How did you get here? For this, we don't want it disconnected. We want some dead ends, and we want potentially a boss room, less doors for sure. For comparison, here is what the fort looks like with a minimum spanning tree, where only the minimum doors needed to connect all the rooms are added. You'll see there's dead ends like that. Lots of dead ends. where I don't know if this is the worst. And then what can be done with this system is, wow, it looks like there's a lot of unused space. What could be done with this system is the room furthest from the door could be the boss room. We can count. So this room here is like 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps from the door. That would be the boss room. Be some enemies in these. Now these rooms are not finished. They're going to have more variation in size and be decorated with some furniture. But however we do it, yeah, that'd be one way. Count the rooms, maybe a chest in like this room or something. I'm really not liking how much empty space there is. The algorithm just wasn't able to place rooms everywhere. Huh. Progress. I've done some thinking about how these forts will reserve space. Because eventually on this map, we want other things spawning. Maybe a bear cave or some hut where a hunter lives, or a temple altar. And we don't want the placement of these forts just removing those and jumping on top. So now what happens is when a biome is generated, when this forest is generated, it marks an area that is allowed to be for large buildings, which is random, but it can't be in the center. The player starts in the center, and we want the player to explore around to find the fort. We've got some, we've got some room decorations, some encounters. Looks like we're getting lots of the gremlin brutes. There'll typically be more wizards here. Maybe something's off about our spawner. And there you can see the fort leader. How it works is if you kill the fort leader, the fort will be destroyed. And that was actually one of the trickiest parts of this, is triggering this whole fort to be removed based off of a creature dying. It's quite a series of connections, and to make sure it saves all properly as well. And these forts are going to continue, will continue to be updated. So like as more art is done and more furniture and features specific to the gremlins, I'd like the gremlins to have their own traps, some of their own furniture, their own altars. These will get, they'll start to have their own look. All right, this is about a week later. A lot of progress. However, it's not quite ready for today. And every 2 weeks was our original plan for updates. So it kills me that we're going to miss that, but I want to make sure this gets done right. And I also wanted to make sure to release a video today so that people who've invested in this project, I mean, I'm so appreciative to you guys who are giving this game a chance, who are taking a look in early access. I wanted to make sure you're aware that we're still working really hard, and we're going to have this ready soon, and I think it's going to fit in great. Already excited and making plans for how this faction influence will relate to quests, how it'll relate to what the sort of actions the cities take, and the addition of roads and all sorts of things. But yeah, as it turned out, I think there's a few more features needed for this really to make sense. And yeah, it's coming. Thanks for watching. Maybe another update next week. Probably next Friday is the new goal for the next release.